Amateur radio stations provided support for a state agency providing civil support and sustainment in August and September of 2022. This exercise, known as ionized particles, is the subject of today's radio KD8TTE. Stick around.
Black Swan, Black Swan.
Amateur radio operators can provide valuable volunteer service to agencies who are helping to manage response to crisis. We have not only spectrum, but skills and technology that can be useful, especially when infrastructure has been compromised. We ran an exercise in Ohio in August and September of 2022. The 4th Civil Support and Sustainment Brigade, Ohio Military Reserve, executed this exercise and opened it up for volunteer amateur radio operators. The idea was to use 3.5 and 5 megahertz and the WinLink global radio email system to maintain contact at various parts of the day and throughout various days of the week. So rather than being a very high-speed back-and-forth messaging kind of situation, the idea was to provide a request for information, let stations get those messages, have the operators go and make their observations if they had any that could be reported, organize that information, and then transmit it back to the agency making the request. This is not a new design for this kind of information gathering. We have, in fact, exercised it, and we used it in the Black Swan 20 exercise, the run-up to Black Swan 20, specifically the County Information Report Project 20. That was something that we covered on this channel, and I will provide a link back to that video. When we are gathering this kind of information, it's very helpful if we are able to make good reports. That's going to be not only gathering information from the right sources, having authoritative information, being able to make proper observations without using incorrect terminology or units of measurement or whatever, and also being able to organize the information. These are all skills that we have introduced and developed and practiced again on this channel. So we were able to make use of a lot of the work that we've been doing in the course of preparing for this exercise and being able to integrate many skills that we have developed independently. The exercise was run in 3 phases. First, we had the 6th and 7th of August. In that exercise, we started things up with a relatively fast means of messaging on a single net. We were making requests for information about once an hour. Stations would be able to go about the business of gathering the responses and then to transmit them back. At the top of the next hour, there would be another request for information. That ran for only 2 days and gave us some good information about what we were able to do well and where we needed more time or where we needed more practice. In the weeks that followed, we then had an ongoing series of requests. They would sometimes be transmitted on our 3 times weekly Black Swan net, or they might be transmitted in special sessions. In any case, the operators who were training were there and listening, and where they were able, they were gathering information and reporting it back. Phase 3 of the exercise was from the 11th to the 15th of September, and in that case, there was a field expedient station that had been set up and was then using its location to communicate with amateur radio operators who were participating in the exercise. From the field expedient station, requests for information got made again, and information was collected back. Again, not a lot of magic going on here, but the regular rhythm of requesting information and then being back on frequency to gather the information from the operators who had made the observations did prove to be very helpful. The regular rhythm that we established was twice daily. At 7 in the morning and again at 7 in the evening, we would have stations reporting into the Black Swan net. That net was called for the special purpose of exchanging messages for the exercise. Once all of the messages had been exchanged, the net came to a close. There was no need to sit there and just idle by the radio. The information that was collected was very helpful because the agency that was in fact moving personnel and resources around was able to make use of information that came from wherever they could get it, and that included radio operators, volunteers, who could look out the window, check their thermometer, listen to their local VHF radio, and report whatever was going on locally. We had road conditions, status of electric service, status of water service, status of internet service, phone service, broadcast TV, and broadcast radio. We were able to get the HF noise floor from various stations on each of the bands that they were able to listen to, and we were also able to get signal reports from WWV as well as Canada's CHU. You know, we go through this process every week. We have some kind of a topic that we discuss, then we go over to the QTC mailing list, and then we have a training task that is put up. We might discuss it, and then we exercise it on the Black Swan net. Sometimes it can be difficult for us to get an understanding of why we're doing all of this, or to see what kind of progress we've actually made. When we go through and actually enumerate the tasks that we performed during the course of this ionized particles exercise, it's actually pretty impressive. We have net activation, controlling a radio net. We made use of 5 megahertz interoperability channels, reporting into a net, receiving a digital message with FLAMP, gathering information by radio, originate basic message format traffic, originate amateur radiogram traffic, transmit digital messages with FLAMP, use fills to complete message relay, submit content to the QSP editor with FL message, reporting into QSP editor with the WinLink form, station, and message authentication. These were all tasks that we covered by virtue of being able to work slowly, weekly, but regularly. We were able to make sure that we were developing skills, and then in this exercise we integrated them together. So it didn't require a whole big process. How am I going to do this thing? Because we already knew how to do it. We've already practiced it, and this was an opportunity to put all of those things together. One of the big takeaways that we have is when we are conducting our training, if we are conducting our training regularly, if it is directed, if we are creating building blocks that we can use to put pieces together, we have the ability to create lists of tasks that we need to perform that can vary from one operation to another. If we exercise different conditions, if we exercise different requirements for a mission, that gives us the ability to become well-rounded operators. Using these exercises can help us to integrate these skills together. It's very easy for us, relatively speaking, to go beginning to end down a checklist to perform a single task, as we might, as we are getting things signed off in a position task book. It is the integration of these skills together that makes us especially valuable, and that's where these exercises come into play. Whatever you're doing, I hope that you are training smart. I hope that you are using the process of developing an understanding of what capability you have, getting feedback, so that you understand how to improve, and in turn, creating plans that will give you the opportunity to develop and to demonstrate new capability. It should help you to make the most out of your time as a radio operator. I invite your questions and comments. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Share the video with others, and hit like if you in fact like the video. Thank you very much. This is Radio KD8TTE.